Hello, and welcome to Staying Up with Cammy and Taryn. I'm Cammy.
And I'm Taryn, and every night, me and Cam have a sleepover. But every week, we invite you to join us.
And not
Be here.
every week do we match, but this week we do.
It's honestly a little embarrassing.
Y'all, I hate
to be fair,
matching.
I had this on first.
I didn't see you, though.
Yes, you did. I walked in, and I said, remember I made a whole shebang about it? I was like,
I was
look
already
how
dressed,
cozy.
no?
Nope, you were in all black.
Oh, my God,
I said,
you're
look how
right.
cozy. It's fall. Do I look fall?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you didn't see me. You
You're
saw
right.
me. You said I was
Damn.
cute.
Yeah, fuck. You're right. Yeah, I really, really hate matching, like, not in subtle ways. Like, Taryn got me these earrings.
I was just going to say that.
Taryn got me these earrings that match her engagement ring, and I wear them
How
in
cute
my
is that?
second ear piercing every day, and they're so cute. Taryn loves it so much she reminds me how cute it is.
No, okay, I'm not
Once a week.
no, not once a week. And I'm also not doing like, oh my God, that's so cute that I got you that. Well, actually, that is what I said. No.
You're like, that is so cute to me. That is so cute that I did that.
I said that is the cutest gift I've ever gotten someone.
But then
like,
you'll go, that is so cute of me. You can hear you.
I can hear. Yeah, that
You
does
know
sound
it.
like something I'd say. I just don't remember saying of me. I can see like
Of me. It's like that is a typical.
so cute of me.
That is a typical Taryn statement. I am so cute. That is so cute of me.
I just thought like, you know how,
And it is, and you are correct.
but you know how intense gift giving is sometimes where you're just like,
it's so stressful.
I just don't know that I'm going to nail it. And this, I remember when I found it. I remember when I bought it. I remember thinking,
Where were you?
fucking
What were you wearing?
Nailed it, Taryn.
And then you get a reminder every day looking at me, or you're like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I just think they're so cute. They also,
What?
oh my God, I almost
What
threw
was
up.
that?
I don't know. I think it was a burp.
Oh, okay.
They also didn't have it to match my exact,
Like the shape. Mine are
the
a little
shape.
longer. But that looks better.
because
in
this
my
would have
earring.
looked weird, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
This old tang would look
That old
weird.
tang.
How you doing, hon?
What do I need? I'm so thirsty.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm so.
You're very like right now.
I feel like I think I'm pretty anxious right now.
okay.
Which is great for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, my heart is like racing. I feel a little off from our workout. Our workout this morning was so intense, but I was so cute. I had a really sweet moment though when it was incredible. Oh, it was the second round of burpees when I like literally wanted to off myself.
Mhm.
I could not take it anymore. I was
I'm
like,
so sick of burpees. It's like
Nobody
everyone
likes
thinks that
them.
it's like
and I feel like it's doing nothing.
that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm like up, down, up, down. It's just
everyone's form is
annoying.
crazy.
Yeah.
No one's doing anything.
No one does a push up at the bottom.
Everyone's upset.
Yeah. We're like, just like, I'm just flailing my lifeless body up and down.
I just think
But-
trainers are like burpees. Like I make my class do burpees.
Well, because they
It feels like
know that it's like,
hated among
yeah.
men and women and all.
yeah. I have fuzzy men.
Oh, nobody get it.
Your skin looks beautiful.
Am I getting better at makeup?
Yeah, you really are. I'm so out of breath. But when we were doing burpees, it's such a mind over matter type thing.
Hundo P.
And while we were doing it, I was like, this is nothing compared to what I'm going to put my body through having a baby.
Mm.
And I like kicked it into high gear. I was like, this is easy. Having a baby is going to be way more
That's
intense,
so
and I'm
cute.
going to be able to do that. So if I
That's
want to
really
get in the right like mentality to do that, I should start here. So I was like going for my burpees.
I was like, I kind of feel like she's levitating.
It was
Like you were flying.
Yeah.
I personally, I went to the doctor very young, and one time they said that I was too tall and skinny. So when I stand up, I will get lightheaded, like almost throughout my whole life.
Do burpees and too tall,
I'm too
and skinny.
That
is incredible that they said that to you.
Yeah, well, I was young, so it
Well,
wasn't
were you
like-
getting lightheaded and they were like, oh, this explains it?
They said that's very common among my body at the time.
Yeah.
I would whatever. So now when I do burpees, I'm like, I can't go too fast. I'm gonna pass out. So I really police.
Just a small girl.
So I really,
I'm too tall,
I really
girl.
police
You
myself the whole
baby.
time. I'm like,
Don't pass out.
don't
take
pass
it
out.
easy.
The doctor said.
Sweetie, take it
doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders. Did you already have health
I love
anxiety?
being this close to you right now.
Me too.
I've,
Like, our knees are rubbing.
for anyone,
like we're sitting the same. Our toes and knees are like
our socks are the
oh
same.
God, it's so embarrassing how much we match. We look like I don't know. We look like a sports team, like going into warm-ups.
Hey, you guys, give it up for the scissors. Snip, snip. We can't do this every episode.
Yeah, we can. Should we have called our PPs the Scissor Sisters? No.
The SS it? The
No.
S's?
No, there's no
It's
like
not
cute
feeling
little
right.
nickname for it.
Oh my God. We go to this gym called Box Union.
It's the best.
And they have like a big B as their logo and it's on everything.
Yeah.
And I realized that it's two P's connected makes
the
a
pillow
B,
princesses are everywhere.
makes a big butt or boobs.
Mm-hmm.
If they're this way, they're boobs. If they're this way, it's a butt.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait, PP is so versatile. People that hate it
Are wrong.
shut the fuck up. I don't know.
Anyways, shall we jump into the topic today?
If you want to, should we just fly right in?
I think we have a lot to cover.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Yeah. Today we are going to be talking about health anxiety. So honestly, trigger warning if you're not in the right mental space, maybe come back to this episode. If you're struggling through it, hopefully you're going to find this helpful. Before we get started though, and in particular, we're talking about Taryn's health anxiety. Before we get started, I just want to do a little check-in with you.
Thank you.
Because I think it's really amazing that you're so open about this and you're going to share all this. I think it's going to be really helpful to people who have health anxiety, whose loved ones have health anxiety, maybe to nurses and doctors who work with people who have health anxiety.
Do you think nurses and doctors are listening?
Well, we do have a question from a doctor. So, yeah, I think at least one doctor is listening.
Can we get your number so I can call you when I'm scared?
Y'all, be careful if you DM Taryn advice on health anxiety from like a doctor's perspective, because she does have people on her like roster who she's like, I'm going to DM my friend. And it's just somebody who randomly was like, hey, don't worry about this. I'm a doctor.
a
blah, blah.
pharmacist. I have a couple pharmacists.
Yeah.
in my
And
back
now
pocket.
she's like 3 a.m. like messaging them.
I'm
So
in
careful.
search of a like a
Who are you
MRI
missing on
tech.
your roster? Okay.
Someone that can read MRIs, specifically brain MRIs.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
wanna
I'm in.
send your brain
That's who's
MRI?
next on my.
Let's just post
my
it on
hit
the
list.
pod Instagram and like get some thoughts.
Dude, we should.
No, that would be horrible for
Okay.
you. Someone would be like, I think I see something. And you'd be like, what? And they're like, just a smudge. But anyways, I just want to check in with you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that we're doing this. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be so helpful. But let's also like take it easy on you if at any point it feels overwhelming, or if like you're like, you know what? I didn't even think about that, or talking about something.
Mhm.
There's a lot of great questions y'all sent in. But like, let's prioritize your health anxiety and mental state as well.
Cool. Yeah. I think I like prepping for the episode. I really wanted to go through and see everything that was helpful to me. So I went through
Yeah.
all my notes from past therapy sessions and went through like my journals, none of my written ones because you can't like spot search, but like any of my digital ones, and tried to find, you know, at hospital, like searching
Yeah.
for terms that I know I would have journaled about. And it's just incredible how long of a journey this has been for me. And
Yeah.
also how much of it is just like pretty severe generalized anxiety, which
Yeah.
I'm obviously we will be talking about within all of this, but yeah, dude, I don't know if you saw our notes page for this.
I tried not to read any of it too much.
I was fucking blowing it up. I just like had so much
I know I got
stuff.
the alerts, but
Yeah, I think like I talked about health anxiety for the first time on my story like 8 years ago now or something, like when I was in a big spell is what I'm calling it. Spells or spins is what I like to call them because it feels cuter. And yeah, I was just in a big one and I talked about it, and a bunch of people came out of the woodworks like I had no idea what this was. Like this is
Yeah.
exactly what I have. And so I think there's like a subset of people who followed me that like just are dying for me to talk about health anxiety. And so sorry that we're taking up a whole epi on this, but it feels really important. And it's not just about health anxiety. I think it can work for other generalized anxiety
Totally.
stuff. But yeah, and it obviously affects Cam too. So
yeah. Okay, I just want to start by explaining what health anxiety is. I feel like a lot of people don't know, even if they have it, like you said, sometimes people don't even know what it is. So can you just give us all like a brief overview of what it is, and then we can go into a little more detail on your specific type of health anxiety?
Yeah, like my understanding of it is health anxiety, hypochondriac, like those kind of go interchangeably. People think germaphobe is that, but I think that's maybe more OCD or
And maybe
something.
a byproduct of it too.
Maybe a byproduct. But
yeah,
my experience and what I've learned from doctors and therapists that I've spoken to is like health anxiety is a specific reaction, overreaction to things in your body or stories of health things going wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm just very overreactive and overly sensitive to any noise my body makes. And by noise, I don't mean literal noise. I mean, like, I can feel a little tingle in my toe. And that to me is 300 times louder than it would be to Cammie. Like,
yeah, like when most people might go, oh, my leg must have just fallen asleep, or like, that was just a weird thing that happened in my body. No big deal. You're assuming it's some big hidden illness that if you leave it alone and don't give it the attention and anxiety, it's going to be bigger.
Yeah. And like the main body parts, I guess, that it like affects for people is like heart. You think something's wrong with your heart. You think something's wrong with your brain, or you think you're going to get like a disease or virus or illness that's going around or whatever. And
if
then
there's something you can have, you're going to get it.
Yeah. So it's just like an extreme over fixation on thinking that there is something either hiddenly wrong with you, or that you are going to get something that's hiddenly wrong for you, and you can, or not hiddenly wrong, but you are going to get something that is like going to kill you, and you missed it, and you should have been paying more attention than you already pay.
Yeah.
Which is exhausting.
Day. And I think it's a very interesting type of anxiety, because where a lot of anxieties, it's that is not real. That is not the reality. That is not what's happening. It's almost like you're supposed to suppress and ignore it, in a sense of like you are seeing a threat where there's not a threat. Your fear is that there is going to be a threat and you're going to ignore the threat. 100%. So it's almost like, to me, it's the most difficult form of anxiety, because all of the typical coping mechanisms for anxiety of like focus on reality don't apply here, because you're like, no, but if I ignore it, then that's the problem. And if I focus on it more, I'm going to feel it more. And it kind of just is like exacerbated by that.
The bummer about it is it's extremely cyclical, is what I think you're saying.
Exactly.
So I wrote this down one of the things that I think is really helpful in grounding yourself with anxiety is like understanding just how anxiety works. And my health anxiety started with a panic attack, which we will get into. But basically what's happening in your body is your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that processes fear, is overreacting to a perceived danger. So people always use the example of back in the day, this was like you hear a rustling in the bush and you're a caveman and you think it's a snake or something that's going to come hurt you, but it was really a bug. But your body doesn't know the difference and your brain doesn't know the difference. And so your body tries to help you, and your sympathetic nervous system then flushes all of these, like it basically like lights your body up, and it's like, okay, let's pump a bunch of like oxygen and blood to your extremities so that in the caveman example you can run away, and like you have enough vigilance, and it pumps,
prepping you for fight or flight.
Totally. It pumps oxygen to your brain, and so you're like really alert, and you can see 10 times more than you would see. So it's trying to help you escape danger. But then, since we're not actually in danger in present day, then you have all of these, your heart is pumping, you're lightheaded from the extra oxygen, you're also not breathing right, which doesn't help. You're like you're nauseous. You can have little tingling in your hands and your feet, all that kind of stuff. And then once your body realizes that there's no threat, it tries to like, your prefrontal cortex tries to come and like calm you down. But I think now for so many people, anxiety is nowhere to go in their body. And so when you start to have panic attack or whatever type of anxiety, it just lights all this stuff in you and then it stays in you. And if you are unfortunate like me and have health anxiety, then you're scared of your own body because you're scared of the things that your body does to try to calm you down or help you, because you can feel it 10 times more than anyone else can feel it.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Now that we understand the general idea of how horrible health anxiety is, some people probably can't remember the first time they dealt with it. Maybe just feel like they were born with it. I think you have a unique situation where you can almost pinpoint when this all really started for you.
Yeah.
So can we just like take it back to there and explain that first moment?
Yeah. I was in 5th grade. And I was, in elementary school, and a friend gave me a chili cheese Frito, which was not weird. That was a normal day as a kid. And I loved chili cheese Fritos. So I was like, vibes. Took it, ate it. And
one single Frito?
Yeah.
Not a bag, just one single Frito?
He had a bag and he gave me a piece. And
I know, but you only ate a piece
I
of
just
Frito.
had one and I popped it in my mouth.
I've never clarified that detail.
Yes, just one Frito.
Okay.
And I felt my heart skip a beat when I like swallowed or something. And if you've never had this sensation, it's absolutely normal. Happens all the time to everybody. But if you're 5 and feeling it for the first time, for me, for whatever reason, I was like, I completely fixated and I was like, whoa, something just happened. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the chili cheese Frito. It's just that I remember this moment so specifically because it has been like a source of trauma for my whole life.
I don't eat Fritos anymore because of this.
I'm not eating one of them. And I immediately, my entire demeanor changed. I completely checked out. I ran straight to the nurse's office and I was like, something's wrong with me. And I, in hindsight, was clearly having a panic attack, but I was so afraid that how fast my body could go from a normal fucking day to I am beside myself right now. And so I'm sitting in the nurse's office. They don't know what to do with me. My heart rate is flying. I can't breathe. I'm like fully freaking out. They called the paramedics. An ambulance came to the school, which is terrifying. Like,
yeah, it's just getting more and more traumatic.
More traumatic. They had me breathing in a brown bag, and all these guys are hooking me up to little machines and like trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And then my mom came, and then I remember this so bizarrely, but the nurse's office was right next to the front of the school where the cars drive in and out. And I'm standing in the front of the school with my mom when the paramedics leave. And I remember them being like, yeah, it's nothing. Like, she must have had like a panic. She must have been scared or something. And my mom's like, never happened before and blah, blah, blah. And I remember standing there with my mom and watching the ambulance drive away and being like, what the fuck? Like,
now what?
That just happened in my body.
Yeah. And no explanation.
No explanation. No nothing.
Like, yeah, you know what? This is what caused it. Don't do this. Or when it does do this, it's like, she's fine. And
yeah.
Like, that was not fine.
And I was 10? Like,
a little baby.
And so that started for me a true feeling of like not trusting or feeling safe in my body.
Yeah.
And being scared of my own body. So I was very like, I slept with my parents for a really, really long time, or our nanny, because I didn't want to be in bed and have something happen and not know what to do. I would miss out on a ton of sleepovers, or I would go and then ask my parents to come pick me up because I was so anxious. I remember like going to tennis or gymnastics and like asking Sandra, my nanny, to like come in with me or watch me walk or whatever. I'll clarifying 10 times over that everyone had their phone on them in case something happened and I needed to be picked up. And yeah, my mom also took me to a therapist, which is fucking so cool that she did that when I was so young. And they said that I don't remember this at all, but they basically were like, talked to my mom after and were like, she doesn't need this. Like, she's fine. She
doesn't need therapy.
Basically, like, she's so logical and like,
that doesn't matter.
I know, but back then it was probably
so
like,
helpful.
yeah, they said you don't.
Yeah,
she's
there's
fine.
nothing like wrong with her.
Yeah,
quote unquote. But it's like,
and like maintenance
you were
therapy
struggling
when you're 10 is different than like as an adult. I feel like I had this one fluke thing, and then they were like, what the fuck?
And also having someone's parents willing to bring them in, they're probably like, okay, she's in a safe home environment where they're clearly talking about these things.
Yeah.
That's all she needs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And then this issue just persisted through my life for...
Do you feel like it just persisted at the same level, or did you feel it consistently going up or coming in stages, like from 10 and in your childhood? Was it like very clear? Like, I feel like at this point, you know the pattern, the times that it flares up. What was it like then? Was it clearly a health anxiety thing? Did it feel like just generalized anxiety?
It was pretty generalized, I would say, for maybe through, like, I was clearly a hypochondriac, and it was like a joke between my friends and my family and everything, and I was very worried. But I was worried about a lot. When my parents were driving home from work, I'd call them 10 times on their drive home, a 20-minute ride, and be like, where are you? Are you close? How close? Like, or...
and you didn't feel that way prior?
I don't remember feeling that way prior at all. I think, so yes, I think it was just like a massive generalized anxiety. I was super scared of like any threat. Like, I remember, was it Y2K or something?
Oh my God.
I didn't go to school. I was so afraid that something was going to happen. And I was like, I'm not going. Like, I was so much more afraid than everyone I knew about. I would get so much more deeply afraid. But then to most people that knew me, you would never. I was so silly and fun loving and wild and like all of that stuff. So I didn't come off like I was this like super anxious kid.
Yeah. You're very confident, very outgoing.
But
so were you kind of like hiding it from your friends and the people in your life? Like, would you handle it privately or make jokes out of it? Like, what was that experience with
the
people
health
around
anxiety?
you?
I was fine to be loud about.
Yeah.
Every other version of it, I didn't really talk about.
Yeah.
Because it felt more embarrassing when you're a kid to be like, yeah. And then I had some OCD tendencies. Like, every time I get out of the shower, I have to do the same thing. Or, even calling my parents 10 times is considered a checking behavior. It's like something that you try to control. So I think those things I was very embarrassed of and didn't talk about.
Yeah.
But the health anxiety was very easy for me to be vocal about, because like it was either funny or people got it. Like,
it's easier to explain when there's like a purpose to it almost, and just like, I'm fucking anxious. I'm scared of this very specific thing. And people are like, I understand that. Health stuff is scary.
Yeah.
Even people without health anxiety can understand that feeling.
Totally.
The people that you were vocal with it about, or even just the health anxiety stuff, how were you treated by friends and even maybe more specifically the adults in your life? Was it written off as a joke? Were you called dramatic? I think a lot of kids with anxiety kind of are like, oh my God, you're just so much. You're a lot. How were the people in your life? Like, what was the phrasing that a lot of people were speaking on it? Do you remember that?
No, I think like the only things I can remember is this, like, from my parents and like maybe my nanny or whatever. It was this like, oh, Bear, like Terror Bear, they would call me Bear. They'd be like, oh, Bear, nothing's wrong. You know this. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
And like, which when you're a parent, that seems like a fair thing to say and do, but it started like okay, I should just shut up and kind of like suppress this thing.
Yeah.
And also created a new type of anxiety where I was terrified all the time of like my parents going through health problems and not telling me and keeping that inside. So I feel like people handled it as good as they could have known what to do.
Yeah.
But I also did make a lot of jokes about it. I would always be joking and being like, oh my God.
That was just coping mechanism for you.
100%.
So then other people are going to kind of like lean into how you're speaking about it.
And then as it got more expensive, as I got older and could take myself to the doctor, then I was like, this is such a massive problem. And I'm spending so much money, and my parents are spending so much money, and
this is
so
affecting more than just my like energy and how I'm handling it. It's affecting a lot more.
The people in my life, my loved ones, going on vacations and needing to go to the hospital on vacation, like just things that weren't good anymore.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. I want to get into like it in your adult life a little bit more. I know that you went through, I feel like you've been really amazing with it since we've been together. I feel like you were very vocal about it when we got together. I think you had somewhat of a fear about getting into a new relationship and bringing this, I feel like what you feel is baggage and like an issue. You seemed very scared about it. You were scared to talk about it. And even whenever you did, and I was like, no, I understand. That's okay. You're like, I don't think you get it, how bad it is.
Yeah.
So maybe that did work because I thought it was going to be way worse than it really is.
Yeah.
But I think there was a pretty big chunk of your adult life. I don't know if it came on from other stuff going on in your life or if you have any idea of that. But what was that time like? Because we have a lot of questions from people being like, I don't want to go to the doctor and then have to face that something's wrong. But you're the opposite. You would live at the hospital if you could.
You guys, I went to Arizona State University, one of the biggest schools in the nation, let alone probably the world. Like, such a large school. The campus doctors knew me. That is unheard of. They'd be like, "Oh, Taryn's here," and I'm like, "I got to get out of here." Like,
was that kind of a wake up call to be like,
such a wake
this
up
is
call.
too much?
Yeah, and
they don't just like me because I'm funny and cool and great.
And it's like irrational looking back and thinking like I hopped on my skateboard and skated to the campus doctor as if I was having a heart attack. It's like
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for basically my college relationships until ours, really, it was a massive part of my life.
Yeah.
Where
did it get worse in college, do you feel?
Yeah, it got worse basically right up until maybe like 3 years before COVID was like the height of how bad it was.
Yeah. Why? What do you think that's correlated to?
I think being on my own,
farther from
family, and like
stuck at gymnastics and everyone's phones off, and your nanny's not there watching you, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I just felt very like not alone because I had some of the best friends, or I was literally in relationships and stuff. It was just like I don't know how to explain how it got worse.
Alone, you had your safety net.
Yeah.
You had your things that were comfortable. You had your home with your parents where you knew they were right there, where even if your significant other and your best friends are the most helpful people, that's still a transition. I think transitions flare up anxieties.
And I also think comfort does too, where like, you know, in college I had a great little life. I was having so much fun. And like when your body, one thing I've learned about anxiety is when you have trained your brain to be alert, it will do it even when there's nothing to be worried about. So it doesn't even
doing the right thing.
It's trying really hard. It doesn't understand that like it doesn't, if a normal person waits for the bush to move around to be nervous, if all you do is stare at a fucking bush for 30 years,
the wind's gonna blow and scare you.
Or the wind's not gonna blow, the bush is not gonna move, but like the part of my brain that is trying to protect me is like, we gotta look at that bush, like something's going on.
The second you look away, you're gonna miss it.
Totally. And so I think like I always had the I've been to every specialist you can imagine. So I have always had like a pretty good idea of what's going on with my brain, my heart, like making sure that like the main things are checked off.
Yeah.
But then I started getting into like, I can take myself to the doctor for things. I don't need to ask anyone's permission. And I think that really,
a little too much freedom.
It was so much freedom for me. Like, living in San Francisco was the worst it had ever gotten. And I was so skinny. I look back at pictures and stuff, like when I get really anxious or in a really bad spell, I like can't eat. And I was it happened once in college and then once after, when I was in San Francisco. And the time I was in college, my doctor said, you are dangerously skinny and you need to figure it out. I couldn't eat. I was literally sick all day long.
Yeah.
And then I was anxious that I was sick, but then it made me more anxious and then I couldn't eat.
Yep.
But then in San Francisco days, so I was like 25, 26, I literally have a list. You're going to die. This is so dark. I have a list of from 8/8/2018 to 9/20/2018. So little more than a month.
Yeah.
A month
like
and
a
10
month and
days.
a half, yeah.
8/8/2018, urgent care, then ambulance, then ER. 8/13, ER visit with Christina, who was my girlfriend at the time. Blood test, EKG, chest x-ray, everything looks healthy. 8/22, echo test at the cardiologist, all healthy, reminded to stay hydrated. 8/24, brain MRI is unchanged. This makes it significantly unlikely for MS to develop. 8/29, urgent care on Cole Street with funny lesbian lady. 9/3, hospital in Kauai. I made my girlfriend go to a hospital with me on vacation in Kauai because I felt a weird pain in my left arm that I thought was a heart attack. 9/6, EKG at cardiologist, reminded of health. 9/7, Zuckerberg Hospital with Dr. Peabody. You should be incredibly reassured. 9/18, same urgent care on Cole. Funny lesbian lady made me leave, assured me that I'm not having a heart attack. 9/20, treadmill test, healthy. That's in a month. That's like
yeah, just nonstop. Going. They're missing something.
Something
I don't
is
feel
wrong.
Right.
My body feels weird and I need to figure it out. And what I know now with the amount of panic attacks that I've had is that I was basically in a consistent state of a panic attack and not giving my body a chance to recover. And so my body was making all these noises and my adrenaline was pumping and my heart was racing and probably skipping beats and I was lightheaded and whatever. And I just couldn't not focus on it. And so I basically, a spin or spell or whatever, it's like a month to 2 month, 3 month long panic attack where if you've had one, you know that your body's pretty good at calming yourself down. There's like a 10-minute ramp up period. You freak out for a little bit. It brings you back down. Generally 30 minutes to an hour is like as long as panic attacks last. But when you have health anxiety and you are hyper alert, your body can stay in a state of having a panic attack. And it's just, you don't feel safe in your own head, in your own body. And like the place that a lot of people come to ground and say like,
most panic attacks,
it's relaxed. It's like, I don't feel good here.
Like I would like to crawl out of this body. And your brain is probably searching for a reason. They're like, okay, there's no outward threat. All right, let's find out where's the threat. 100%. Oh, well, my heart's racing. Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
It's just everything is fighting itself.
Yeah. And like, I can say without like a shadow of a doubt that there were times where it was like getting me to the wanting to not be alive anymore because it is so scary to be in your body like that and not feel safe.
And for such a prolonged period of time.
Yeah. And so I am so sorry for anyone that has gone through that or is going through that, but I promise you it gets so much better when you deal with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like can feel really embarrassing, but because you feel delusional, I think is the main thing. Like I remember at work, I'm like managing a team and I'm feeling really popular and good. And like, I've got all my shit in a row and just like high achieving. And then I would have to book a conference room to go calm down. And I would sit in the dark in a conference room and freak the fuck out and have to be like, how sure am I that I'm not having a heart attack? And it's just very humbling in a bad way. It's like, just makes me feel like an idiot. So I'm so sorry to anyone that has or will deal with this because it just is really an unsafe and unsettling thing. But like I said, I promise you there's so much you can do that can like get you to a state where this is not running your life because I have been in the running your life stage. And like you said, like I've been so much better the last 5 years that this is manageable. This is like mastery for me. And that's, it's been great.
I love you. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now that we went through the darkest days, which I'm just so proud, like every time we talk about that stage in life, I'm like, I want to get into coping mechanisms because I think that's what people really,
my list.
Yeah, I think that's what people really want to hear about, and then how you handle that in relationships, family, partner, whatever it may be. But I want to note that you and I have never like unplanned gone to the hospital. We went one time for something that you did need to go for, and you listened to your body, your shingles.
Oh yeah.
You trusted your body. You went. they sent you home. You went, I don't think this is my health anxiety. You checked in. We checked in together and we decided to go and you went back and you got treated. Anything else has been just planned checkups and all of that.
Yeah.
You have never once made me take you to the hospital. And I think that is huge. Thanks. You've been close, but you've always talked yourself through it. Yeah. But that's really amazing. Like even it's almost more amazing that you have been close and have managed to trust your body and get through that. And we went through COVID together. Like you went through some really difficult times and a lot of stressors in life. So before we get into all that coping mechanisms, I just want to like, as a testament that you can take Taryn's advice on these coping mechanisms and how she's worked through here. Yeah. In the last 3-4 years, whatever it's been, you have really been such a trooper.
Thanks, honey.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work.
Check in, how we feeling? And you okay?
Yeah, I mean, just like talking about early days stuff, I'm like, ugh, it just like makes my put your body back in there, and and then I don't know. There's just the feeling of, well, if I was like that, can I get back there? Yeah. And maybe someday, but like I need to remind myself like how proud I am of like what you said, just like the years of I took myself to the ER 10 times in 1 month. That's like every other day. Yeah. Not really, but most days, it's a lot. And it's
multiple times a week.
Yeah. To the point where the fucking lady at the urgent care nearby told me to leave. She laughed at me when I came in. Can we
hear this? Why was she funny, and how did we know she was a lesbian? What was this conversation? Just for a little bit of a reprieve for a second.
This is the urgent care on Cole in San Francisco. If anyone wants to go, she's such a vibe. I hope she's still there. I don't know. I was very open when I got there about like I have health anxiety. It's like one of my first moves when I go in. I'm like,
wait, will you talk on that a bit more too? Like elaborate on that, because a lot of people
what I would do.
Yeah, because a lot of people have said like, I'm afraid to tell my doctor. I want them to be aware. Yeah, but I'm afraid to tell them and then not be taken seriously.
Yeah. So I don't mean that I start with I have health anxiety. I go in, I say my symptoms, because you won't be taken seriously, obviously, if you walk in and say, hello, I have health anxiety and I feel lightheaded and like I'm having a heart attack.
They're like, okay, panic attack, bye.
Yeah. So the opposite, you go in and you say, I'm having extreme chest pains. I think my heart rate is at 160 and I'm just walking. I'm not doing anything. I'm freaking the fuck out.
Is that what you said to the person when you walked in?
Basically, lesbian? I have left arm pain. I had, I'm not going to say a bunch of symptoms for anyone struggles. All that. But I'm like saying all the things, and then they're setting me down, and they're like, oh, you're not. Normally, what happens is they look at you and they say, you're not the normal person that comes in here with these symptoms. Like,
they're like, you're not the typical candidate.
You're not the typical candidate. Does your parents have this problem? Are you on drugs? Like all that stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. But I kind of do that, and then when they start giving me the tests, I'll be like, candidly, between the two of us, I have pretty intense anxiety, specifically health anxiety. Yeah. I don't want you to not give me the tests that you would give everyone else, though, because that's going to make my health anxiety worse. Yeah. I really feel symptoms. You can see on these monitors, my heart's fucking flipping out. These are real things to me, and I want you to treat me like
accordingly.
But basically,
I think you should also be aware.
You should also know that I want you to explain to me what is happening in my body and why these things are not actually going to kill me. Yeah. Because that is also what I need. Yeah. It's like,
have people always reacted well to that? Have you ever had bad experience, better experiences?
Nobody has been bad to me. One time I was in a ambulance. I was being taken to a hospital from an urgent care, and the guy was so sweet. He's like, yeah, you got some anxiety, don't you? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, my wife has really bad health anxiety. I actually had to take her to the hospital, just like this, actually. I had to take her to the hospital like 6 months ago. She was totally okay. Have you tried therapy by chance? And I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love you. And I'm literally laying in the back of an ambulance with the stuff blaring, and I'm like I've all strapped
like,
up.
Hey, baby. You're like,
And we get to the ambulance and they put me in a wheelchair and are waiting to get me, or we get to the hospital and they're waiting to put me in, and he like kneels down and is just like, hey, I want to make sure like, you know, that like this is going to be okay. This is super scary and it feels really real, but like it will get better for my wife. It's gotten so much better, and I really hope you like see a therapist or whatever.
That's really sweet.
So that was one time it went really well. Second was Dr. Peabody. This is the last time
I know him.
This is the last time I think I ever went to the hospital was Dr. Peabody.
Really?
Yes. I will play you a voice memo that I sent myself that I recorded for myself after I went.
Yeah.
Haven't even played this for you. It's like so sad.
So this is, you get out of the hospital with Dr. Peabody, and
Yes.
this is your message to yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, he was the best doctor in the whole wide world. Perfect man at Zuckerberg Hospital in South San Francisco.
Shout out.
Yeah. Taryn Arnold, you should be so incredibly relaxed right now. You should be so reassured. Dr. Chris Reynolds Peabody just said to you, and I quote, you should be so reassured. All your chest x-rays came back totally normal. Your EKG, totally normal. Your blood tests, totally normal. The things that are like your D-dimer it's not even elevated at all. Your trip, whatever, nothing. He said everything is great. All you need to do is you need to now take this up with a psychiatrist, because at this point, all of your symptoms are like, none of this is heart related. None of this is anxiety, or most of this has to be anxiety related. And cuts off, but he basically just goes on to say like, or me, but what he told me is like, he's like, I need you, Taryn, to feel reassured now.
Yeah.
I need this for you, because this is going to hurt you in the long run. How you're doing this, the wasting your time, your money, you can't do this to yourself. Mm-hmm. You were just here or at another hospital down the street, 10 days ago, whatever. You're healthy.
Yeah. And it can't be a solution to calm down your nervous system by just going and get tested. 100%. So what was that switch? Now that we're not going to the hospital all the time, what are your coping mechanisms to talking yourself off the ledge when you are feeling that intense?
Let me get my list.
Yeah, give it to me, baby.
Give it to me, baby. Okay. The main things. 1, therapy. Mm-hmm. I know it's people, you hear it on every fucking podcast, BetterHelp, whatever. But learning about not just your body, but like your mental state and what is actually happening in your body is dead on the most important thing I have ever done for myself. Mm-hmm. And as it relates, like the way that a therapist can say, okay, she has health anxiety. She has generalized anxiety, also health anxiety, some OCD, and then find the pill, quote unquote. I don't mean the literal pill, although I do take medicine also, but
also those.
Find the thing that can help you, and speak to you in those moments is like so deeply important. So I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, it's like it might sound counterintuitive to overly understand your body, but it's so helpful to go, okay, I'm not having a heart attack because you know what also explains this? Mm-hmm. A panic attack. And when it's happening, it's this is happening.
100%.
It's so helpful to be able to put terms to it.
Then learning how your brain works, like I said, is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
Learning that there is hope for your brain, that you can rewire your brain, and that is real. There's like neuroplasticity is a thing that basically means your brain is a muscle and it can grow and it can change, which is lovely. Learning about your specific anxiety. So for me, learning that anxiety serves a function for everyone. Yeah. And for me, it's control. I'm trying to figure out how to control a situation. And so I turn my body, my brain, every part of me just like turns to anxiety to try to figure out what that is. I love like learning little tidbits of like, I kind of collect them from different therapists. It's like I have like the intern, which is this kind of thinking that your anxiety is basically just a really shitty intern that is trying really hard to do really good work, and it's running around and papers are flying everywhere, and it's like, wait, Mrs. Taryn, but look what I did. Look what I found. Look, that could scare you. Also, the thing on your toe, that could scare you too. And also, and it's like, that's so sweet, and I can appreciate that you're doing what you think is good, but also you're just doing a lot, and I would like for you to sit in the back seat instead of the driver's seat. So it's like little things like that you can get from therapy, or that you can get from just like learning about your brain that really help. Specific activities that I do when I'm really in a spin. One is a little thing that I do that's like celebrating every hour. So when you're really anxious and you're really in your head, all you're doing is thinking about like shit that's happened in the past or things that are going to happen later. It's like very hard to be present, or if you are present, you're present in a very bad way.
Yeah. Too present in the wrong place.
Yeah. So I'll open up a notes page, and every hour I have to go in and celebrate 3 to 5 things. So I have to say like chairs are sick, the way that we could sit in them and they hold us up. That's going to be one thing. The next thing is the way that Cam scratches my knee. I love that she does that. The next thing is boom. And then that's for my 2 to 3 hour. And then when it's anywhere between 3 and 4, I have to do it again. And like, then you become so thankful the whole day. Yeah. Because you're just needing to think of things. You want to like push yourself to think of things. So that's a really good one. Another good exercise is the like engaging your senses. So it's like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Say 5 things that you can see around you, 4 things that you can hear around you, 3 things that you taste, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you can feel, like a sensation or whatever. And you can put those in any different order, but that's a really good like grounding technique to kind of get you to focus on different parts of your body. So first, celebrate every hour. 2, your senses. And then 3, probably the biggest one for me, is an evidence checklist, which is what I read to you with like all the times that I've been to the doctor. So I've been recommended to do this by doctors, therapists, friends, so many people. This is like a perfect tactic, which is just that if you are feeling like this is different than all the other times, which I tell Cam all the time, I'm like, nah, this one's weird. This one feels weird. It's like, if I can pull open a note and be like, look at the times I've said, A, this is different. B, this feels weird. C, my ears ringing. It's like 30 times I've said my ears ringing. Not one time has it been something damning.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's like easy in the moment to forget that. Like I'll have to be like, last week you said this is different and explained all of those exact symptoms. It's not different. Like you're just not aware of it. Like one of your anxiety tics is like picking at your face and pulling at your skin, and you're unaware of that. Yeah. Because we're not aware of everything that's happening when we're anxious. So it might feel new, or you didn't know you were doing it, or you didn't know your body was feeling it, but it's not new at all.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So learn about yourself and your body and what's happening when you're anxious. Yeah. And also have maintenance behaviors that you do, that journaling, stretching, being grateful, whatever, things that you're always doing, and then have your arsenal of things that you can do when you're in a big spin. Yeah. I think a big thing people miss is the maintenance aspect of it, which is like, go to therapy when you don't think you need therapy. Like,
it's easy to wait until you really need it, and then it's way harder to kind of backpedal. Totally. Can I ask you a few coping mechanism questions people have asked? Yes. The first one I saw a lot was tips for traveling when you have health anxiety. Do you have any things that you do to prep for traveling or while you're traveling that's helpful?
Yeah. I think that the best thing that you can do beforehand is like know your triggers and be very clear with the people that you're traveling with. For me, that's really important. I know that when I travel in general, I am more susceptible to anxiety. traveling can be anxiety inducing, but also you're like not in your comfy space. There's so many aspects
There's
of
a
it
million variables that are getting shaken up.
that I tell everybody I'm with. They all know this now. I don't even have to tell them. Don't tell me some news story about some crazy symptom that has happened to people.
Yep.
Don't point out something on me that looks weird, looks new, looks whatever. Like Cammie can do that if it's something serious. Like it's things like that. And then I think like if there are things that you think might make you anxious when you're traveling, that would be a perfect thing to bring to a therapist and be like, how do I work through this? I've done that before I'm on a plane. I'll have a session or two with a therapist and be like, here are the exact things that I'm nervous about. Can you work through this with me? Second thought and last thought on this is that there's like a tactic called the horror story, which is you write down the worst case scenario that can happen for you while you're traveling. And it has to be realistic, like something that could actually happen, but like is terrible.
Yeah.
So you're like, whatever, I travel and I have a heart attack overseas and I have to go to the hospital there and my family has to fly out and whatever and whatever. And leading up to it, this is a risky tactic and I've never done it more than once. I've only done it once and it helped, but you basically read it every day, multiple times a day until you're desensitized to it. And so that it's no longer that scary.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it, you're like bored by the thought of it. You're like, that's kind of stupid.
I also feel like it kind of helps because it's like, okay, and
that's the point.
And I get to the hospital.
Yes.
And sure, it's annoying for my family to have to fly out. And sure, it's annoying that we have to get our dog sitter to stay longer with the dogs. But okay.
Yeah.
And we do, and I know exactly where the hospital is. And whoever I'm traveling with knows what to tell the doctor. Taryn also, again, I think some things can be like, for some people it might be worse for some people it'd be better. You will tell me what you are feeling so that, God forbid, it is real and you do have to go to the hospital. I have the list of what you're feeling already. Or like keep a notes page in your phone so you don't have to like be talking about it all the time. But then whoever you're with, tell them it's there. This is my password. Info. This is what they have. And I feel like that really helps you to be like, I'm not dealing with this alone and ignoring what I feel are potential symptoms. And I don't know the difference between anxiety and symptoms in this moment, but at least I know somebody knows it. So I'm taken care of. And they have that info. I feel like that's been really helpful for you too.
And also when you're traveling, for some reason, I'll like have like little spins and like, it's so important for me to do like baby sessions with Cam that I just say what I'm feeling and my worst fear and all this thing. And we say, we're going to do this for 3 minutes and then we're going to go play cards at
I
a
will
bar.
Google whatever you want for you. I will reassure you. But once we do it, we're moving forward because we checked. We did it. We did the thing. We're not going to triple check.
And unfortunately, that's the OCD aspect of my anxiety. And so you might not have that. But I think voicing things is always important.
I've also noticed, I feel it's helpful for you to go through what feelings might arise prior. Like, okay, I know I'm traveling and my stomach gets thrown off, so I might not go to the bathroom for a couple days. That's normal. That happens to most people. Maybe I either make sure I'm taking my probiotics before I go, or when it happens, I know that's a very normal thing. I have a headache. I'm jet lagged. Of course I have a headache. Like running through things that you could expect to have. I think that, again, might be tricky because then you might not have to have those feelings and then you convince yourself you have those feelings. But then it's, I expected this. I'm prepared for this. It's not some underlying illness. This is travel tummy or whatever it may be. And I feel like that's been helpful for you as well.
That's a good point.
Okay, I think this is really interesting. When to know you should go to a doctor. How are you deciding to talk yourself off the ledge of going and push yourself over the ledge of, no, this is the time that I need to go?
I think there's 3 sides to this. One side is have a really good partner if you can, whether it's an actual partner, family member, friend,
therapist,
that can help you in those moments of decision time. I have a couple friends that I don't even keep up with at all, but they text me. We text each other on health anxiety spins and we always talk each other off the ledge or say, that might be worth going to check out. Like it's maybe worth it. So basically finding people in your life paid or not paid that like can be a voice of reason for you is really important. And for anyone that is like, I'm too anxious to tell people, I can't express how useful it is. Second thing is, unfortunately, it's trial and error for me. A lot of my life was spent figuring out what is worth going to the doctor for. Thousands and thousands of dollars, countless hours, days of this has been an issue of just trying to figure out, okay, I actually don't know my body well enough and I don't know what's scary and what's not.
Yeah.
So that's a unfortunate reality for my situation. And I don't know that that has to be for yours. But what I will say for the last thing is, like, in my experience, when something has actually been wrong, it does feel different to me. It's like trust your gut kind of vibes. I've been really trying to figure out my gut feeling with health anxiety my whole life, and I think I've gotten a lot better. One example is in college, I felt weird as fuck, and I had this like, every time I picked up my leg, I felt like I was gonna vom like instantly, and everyone's like, I'm like, you guys, I just feel so weird, and everyone's like, sure, Taryn, baby, and I'm like, no, I feel something is not okay.
Yeah. And
got to the point where I was like, we got to go to the doctor, and I had to get my appendix out. We went to the hospital. I got my appendix out that day. It was about to rupture. I was in
Thank God you went.
The craziest part, I've never been more calm in my life than that day, and getting my appendix out, having a surgery. I was having the time of my life. Borderline one of the best
You're probably
days.
also glad like that
I'm like, thank God.
But also it like was so reassuring to be like, I trusted my body.
Totally.
I knew that this was the time that I go.
Totally.
I think that's why having notes is really helpful too, because something could be a new symptom for your anxiety, but you might have just read a story or saw a TikTok on somebody having like a leg pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you have your next anxiety moment, you feel that thing that you read. So if you write that down and go, I've been obsessing over the woman who drank too much water, whatever it may be, then you go, oh, you know what? That's why this manifested in a different feeling.
Totally.
Because that's where my brain went. So I think just like keeping that to reassure you, because I know you're like right now you're going, I've really gotten good at trusting my gut, and you have. But in the moment, you kind of forget to trust your gut, and you'll be like, this is totally new.
Well,
and I'm like,
your brain,
no, it's not, baby.
Your intern is like, no, don't trust your gut. This is the time. This is the one. And so
I think it's so helpful having that like
evidence,
that rational brain that is still you and your brain and yourself, and not people who are outside of your body.
Yeah.
Being that voice of reason, I think is really helpful too. So it's like having your group of people, but also having yourself, but in the time where you can trust yourself.
100%.
Okay, well, I want to lean into that, unless you have any more coping that you really want to make sure you share with the people.
No.
Okay, I want to jump into this, how it affects other people.
I want to talk about how it affects me.
Now back to me.
No, I did want to talk first. Are there questions on here that people asked about that I can ask you?
Well, it's not all that, but yeah.
Tell me how it's affected you.
Okay, we just want to jump into me?
Yeah.
Because these are like I do want to ask you for this first. How can doctors help people with health anxiety? Like, do you have any tips? I know you've had great doctors, but the one doctor listening would like to know what they can do.
Yeah, my main thing from all doctors that I have loved very deeply and dearly, that have been full-fledged aware of my issues, is an acknowledgement of, I absolutely know that you're terrified right now. We are going to treat you like we would anyone going through this stuff. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And also, I know that you're anxious.
Yeah.
And you tell me how much information you want or don't want. I think that's important. It's like gauging what they want to know or don't want to know. Because for some people, it might make it worse. For some people, it makes it a lot better to have information. And then, just reminding them that like, we're doing all the tests. We're doing all the things.
Yeah.
Because that for me was my, like, one of my biggest issues was always like, how do I know I'm getting the treatment that someone else that's literally having a heart attack is getting? And they're like, if you're able to be like, no, we did everything, it would be clear that something was up. It is clear that something is not up.
Yeah.
Like that level of just clarity. And I know that extra bedside manner is probably very exhausting for you guys given your crazy life, but like if there
so
is a way
helpful.
to just add that for anyone specifically that you can tell is like petrified, I can't express how far that goes. Like, I will remember Dr. Peabody's name for the rest of my life, and I spent 3 hours
First,
with
middle,
him.
and last.
Solid guy.
Okay, here, I'll give you this. This is
Okay.
all affecting others, not all of them. Most of them don't apply to me, but
How just tell me how it's been for you.
It's only been hard because I feel so frustrated for you. Like, it really hasn't had some like big negative impact on me. I think because of the phase I came into your life at.
Yeah.
Like I said, we aren't going to the hospital every other day. We aren't missing vacation time for it. Like, yeah, I have to talk you down often, but I think we kind of like have our routine in it. It was just learning what works and doesn't work for you. I think you need the most clear, gentle with a sprinkle of tough love in those moments. Like, you don't want to be written off in those moments at all. So, I just have to have patience and learn that balance of like comforting you, but also being stern with you and not just like enabling it. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily affected me other than just needing to learn how my partner needs supported. But I think that's only because you did so much of the work coming into this. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really affect my day to day.
What advice would you give to a partner like you that's in your role in this relationship?
I would say to sit down and have a conversation when the moment isn't happening.
Yeah.
Sit down and say, what are you looking for from me in those moments?
Yeah.
Because everyone's different. What's helpful for one person might be the root cause of someone else's health anxiety.
Yep.
I know that Taryn needs me to do her checks for her, so she's not doing it. So it's not leaning into that like OCD side. But I also need to say, no, I'm not going to check you again. We just did it.
Yeah.
Like, I know that is the last answer you want from me in that moment, but that I have to kind of stand my ground for the sake of your health.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's, if anything, it's affected me with like time. Like, I feel like I should have an undergrad at this point because I Google so much. I know so many things about so many random illnesses, but I think coming with that like arsenal of knowledge, being able to be like, no, that's actually not what happens when this is going on. And okay, yeah, you might feel nauseous and you know that that's one symptom sometimes of a heart attack, but do you also know it's a symptom of this, and this? It's not that. So
yeah,
I would just have those conversations with your partner, sit down with them and say, do you want this form of tough love? Do you need me to just be supportive? And I think we've had those conversations many times, not just one time, where we adapt. After you have a moment, you can go to me, you know what, I actually think like you were a little too harsh in that moment. Like, I need you to be a little bit more comforting and supportive. Okay. And I'm going to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just finding that balance of comfort, but not enabling, researching, but not obsessing, and finding that balance with your partner.
One thing I've noticed is like sometimes you'll feel protective over me when like your brother is talking about something that you think is going to freak me out or whatever.
I will jump on it.
Do you feel stressed that you've had to take this on? Like, it always makes me feel like I'm like I don't know, like I'm just this like weird little kid that you have to like guard. I always feel really bad in those moments. I'm thankful that you do it, but I feel bad.
I feel like so lucky to be your person. I think we all have our little things. I feel so lucky that like I get to be protective of you in those moments, and that I can step in and be the voice for you. And like, if anything, I worry that I'm like, oh, did she want me to talk about it or whatever? And we normally like laugh it off where I'm like, please don't do, especially with your family, because they've dealt with it for so long that it's like, I'd be like, oh my God, guys, shut the fuck up about
everyone's like,
this
stop, shut up.
I'm like, don't. And it's kind of like, I'm going to have to deal with this for a week if you don't shut up. Like I try to put the focus on me in that moment where I'm like, not as like a pay attention to me, but as like a, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or like a burden or whatever. So I'm like, shut up, you're going to send Taryn into a spiral and I'm going to have to put up with it. Like, and I never feel like I have to put up with it. I hope you know that. I'm always joking when I say comments like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, my mom will go into like, oh, this client, blah, blah, blah. And this like one random horror story. And I'm like, or she'll be texting it and I'm like, give me your, let me delete that. Like, don't read that. No, I feel we are both two very like strong individuals. I don't think we need each other for things all the time. Like we love to have that support that it makes me feel special that I get to do that for you. Like I don't ever mind that. It's like I don't want you to be hurting. I don't want you to go through this.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's how like parents feel when their kids stop needing them, where they're like, no, it was like maybe it's annoying in the moment, but like now you don't need me to tie your shoes or whatever. I'm like, I love you so much and it feels so special to get to like give you that love. So no, I never feel anything negative. You're so cute.
I love you. How do you handle me when I'm not being logical? How do you handle that?
I think that's the toughest, because a lot of things that do help you in these moments is pure logic, where I'm like, this is the reality. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just like
we're rubbing our chest, baby.
Aware of my body right now, just because I've been talking about it a lot.
It can be really tough because you fight it. You fight the logic in those moments.
Yeah.
You try to go against everything. I almost feel like I'm arguing like a political thing I really care about with somebody, and they just like don't care about they're like, I'll give them like, I'll be so proud. I'll lay out the facts, the percentages. I'll get it. And they'll be like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I know. Like, shut the fuck up.
I went to fucking Harvard med.
Like, I know. I know everything about this subject. Shut up.
I just completed groundbreaking research.
Yeah. But it's like whenever you're pushing and not wanting to hear the logic, it's very clear. You're like, okay, she needs comfort right now. So it's like, we need to cuddle her and try to like calm her down first.
Back scratches.
Yeah.
Cuddling.
Yeah. You have your different levels. When you're like really heightened in that and you're focusing on your body, I'm like, okay, we got to get you out of your body for a minute. Is that like cuddles, watching TikToks, rubbing your back, something to distract you? Then you'll calm down and be a little more logical. I will Google and you know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then you want to assume the worst and you'll be like, you saw something, didn't you? Or like if I cannot smile if she's talking about anything health or anxiety related, she'll be like, you smile. I know, you know, it's bad. Oh, like she has this new thing ever since she had, oh my God, I can't say by the seashore, ever since she had shingles. Oh my God.
Whoa,
say that 3 times fast.
Ever since she had singles.
See? Ever since she had shingles. Oh, I did it. But I said shingles weird because it felt like I had to. Anyways, ever since you had shingles, it's a lot of the face tests, which I'm great at. If anyone ever has a scare, FaceTime me. I'll run it. Yeah. And we'll know. You squeezing your little eyes.
I'm like, baby. Now I'm like feeling my face so much.
We're going to have to lay down on this pull-out couch after and calm down. I don't even remember what I was saying.
Just knowing what type of comfort I need and what type of like shingles I need the face test.
Yeah. We run through all of our little things, you know. You have your different needs in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's like I do think the one hard thing I have noticed is I am almost a polar opposite of you, where I suppress and ignore, and I could have the weirdest thing happen in my body. Like my heart could stop for a little and I'd probably be like, I bet that happens to people. And I have been more aware of stuff because of being more aware of you. Like I have focused on my body and I'm getting older, so I'm focusing on my body. We're talking about babies. Like I'm very aware of my body right now and trying to take care of my health. And I do feel if I'm not feeling good, I never really want to talk about it, but I really never want to say anything to you.
Which sucks because
that's probably another fear of yours.
Massive.
Does that expand to you actually? Like a lot of people ask that as well of like, do you spend a lot of your health anxiety spirals focusing on like other people's health? I mean, I know the answer.
The biggest yes of all time. Yeah. It's specifically my parents and you.
Less me.
Well, because I feel like there have been a few times where you've thought something was wrong or whatever, and I feel like I've handled it in a more calm way than you thought that I would.
Yeah, it actually sometimes would freak me out because when I have had any kind of issue, if I'm talking about it, it's probably pretty bad.
Right.
And then you're working on it and trying to be calm, but then I know that you're normally not calm about those. So then I feel like you're not taking it seriously. And I'm like, then I get spooked that you're being so calm. So I almost feel like that's been the hardest part of like navigating sharing my health concerns with you has been harder than navigating talking to you about your health concerns.
I feel like when I don't even know how. Yeah, I feel scared for you, but I don't feel panicked.
Yeah, you're so calm in those moments.
Yes.
And for a while it freaked me out where I'm like, she's not taking this so seriously.
And that's how I feel with even my mom and my dad and stuff. I'm like, it's a constant, like, I'm scared and I want you to tell me what's going on. But if something big happens, I don't know that I don't feel very panicky. With me, I'm constantly panicking.
When something actually happens, your panic is the possibility of something happening. When it does happen, inevitably people, whatever, you get sick, whatever, something happens, you scrape your arm. In that moment, when something actually is happening, you're good.
I love you using like the most simple example. That was sweet.
Well, I was like, stop, shut up.
You're like, when something happens, like a heart.
Well, I was like, inevitably,
and
then I
scrape
was like,
on the arm.
When you like bump your little baby toe. Ow!
I love you.
I love you.
One last question for you is somebody asked, you okay? Something going on with your little...
No,
oh,
I was just sitting up.
Okay. Someone asked, how do you reassure me and focus on me, like Taryn, when you're feeling mentally tired and like you're in your own head about other things?
Yeah, I think that probably is the hardest time when I'm just like, if I'm anxious or whatever, but our anxieties don't go hand in hand. So
I wish they did.
I'm so glad they don't.
So they could be hand in hand.
I just try to remind myself that like, this is my partner. She needs me right now. It's not like it's happening every time.
Yeah. That
I'm like tapped out. Yeah, I think you have to take care of yourself to be a good partner, but I don't know. I think I know that if I just take a little bit of time to calm you down and work through it, in the long run, it's going to be easier. Like if I try to ignore it and not help you through that, it's just going to get worse. And if I'm feeling worse, then we're going to get to a point where it's like, we can't.
Yeah.
Or just, I don't know. I don't think it ever is around your health anxiety, but like if we're both anxious at the same time, just kind of saying like, I don't have anything to give right now. Like I'm tapped out.
Yeah. Like
I'm actually really needing a little extra love. Like this is, I don't know, like maybe we take space. Like I think just talking about it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel it typically happens regarding your health anxiety.
You're right.
And I know your health anxiety is something so big and like needs taken care of that I'm like, I'm going to put my thing aside for the moment. But I just don't think that's always going to be realistic in a lot of situations. With two anxious people in a couple. Yeah, it's normally around different anxieties. And I think that's like, you just got to be honest. Like, I really love you and I want to help you. And then maybe come up with things that are like, what if we both lay down? My problem is when I'm anxious, I need space. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably our hardest point when 100%. We're both feeling anxious is like you're needing loved and babied and like you want smothered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sensory overload. I need like no noise, no movement, no like nothing. Mm-hmm. So that can be kind of difficult.
We should buy one of those sensory deprivation tanks.
Oh, I would love
and then you and I can go in together.
No, the problem is I'd be laying there and I'd want the lights off and no sound and like to like feel nothing. And you'd be like, splish, splash, I'm taking a bath. And then you'd be like, ouch, what was that?
I'll be like, I splished too hard.
The salt water is in my eye. Is that normal? I'd be like, yes, it's like when you go in the ocean. You'd be like, but it's different.
I'd be like, yeah, but in the ocean.
You're like, but I peed in this water.
Well,
thank you for sharing, baby.
You're welcome.
What do you need from me right now? I see your little little sweet brain
Well,
churning.
I am going to need a huggelin.
Okay, we can definitely huggelin.
We've decided that there's hugging and snuggling. There's an in-between called a huggelin. Come here.
Huggelin is basically when when I hug you and you don't hug me back. Where you just want like,
Well, you get huggelins too. It's when one party.
yeah, but it's usually
Well, we just decided what it was, and it's been like a tough couple days, so that I've been needing huggelins.
yeah.
But a huggelin is like you're getting a hug by the other person, but they're doing more work, and they're like they're rubbing on you and loving on you.
Yeah.
That's for the huggelin.
This epi has been super long. I don't know that we have time for listener gossip. Should I run through it really fast? Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay. Let's just get into it. Okay. I'm a late bloomer lesbian.
What if they're like, what if they're like, hey, you guys, my left arm.
I found the perfect story for today's topic. These
Okay.
are my symptoms.
Tell me, we're going to help this pee so fucking fast.
I miss this. They said, first of all, love the podcast. Gave it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Thank you. It has really helped me process my feelings for women, and I have since come out. Congrats, little PB.
Do.
Okay. On a related note, question for the pod. I'm a late bloomer lesbian that ended a relationship of 9 years with a man a few months ago.
Ooh.
I spent the last few months since working on myself, both emotionally and physically. I recently joined the dating apps and really hit it off with a beautiful and interesting woman.
Ooh.
Or so I thought.
Ooh.
We exchanged phone numbers. She sent me cute pics of herself in daily life, and I built up the courage to officially ask her on a date. And she said yes. Oh my God, I cannot speak today. Sorry. Enthusiastically, I might add. Only to ghost me / block me 12 hours later. No significant communication after agreeing to meet up other than picking a specific day that worked for both of us.
Weirdo.
This is so bizarre. For context, this all happened over the course of a week, and she's 29 years old, and I'm in my early 30s. What gives? And why did that hurt so much? Do I just need to toughen up? I've been out of the dating scene for so long, and this really caught me off guard. As in, I didn't think some rando from a dating app could mess with my confidence this much. But I guess rejection hurts always. Should I take more time to work on myself before putting myself out there again?
No.
You found a freaking weirdo.
You got a weirdo, my guy.
I think we've both established that, like, we are very team no ghosting. It's pathetic. You're a loser.
So
unless
lame.
somebody is, like, scary
Tormenting
and, like,
you or
threatening.
something.
Yeah, unless,
Yeah.
like, you get creepy stalker vibes. So unless you were stalking this person, like, did you show up at her work to ask her on the date? Then I can understand it. Did you ask her mom? Not out on a date, but did you ask her mom permission? Like,
either of those would be wild.
Did you do something weird? So I would check in with yourself, do a little quick check. Did I do something creepy?
Yeah, were you weird?
To make her think that I was a stalker or, like,
Did you earn the
unsafe?
ghost?
Yeah. Maybe she's a catfish.
It's giving catfish, or maybe they weren't, like, out. Maybe they're in a relationship. Maybe
They got spooked.
They got spooked. It got real.
A ghost
and they got
can get spooked. Casper the Friendly Ghost is terrified of ghosts.
Casper got caught.
Casper got caught.
Casper got caught. No, you don't need to do more work on yourself unless you are the creep. And 2, what was 2?
Ghosts get spooked.
Ghosts get spooked. No.
But yeah, I mean, that is a very bizarre. Oh, go ahead. Go.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just talking shit until you were.
I'm just saying some stuff. I forgot.
Oh my God, baby.
Oh, you said, why am I so upset about this?
Oh.
Girl, you answered your own question. You have not done this for 9 years. You also, probably 9 years ago, dating apps were not a thing. So this is like your probably first foray into, like, getting your little chat on, putting yourself out there. Of course you're going to be hurt when someone does this. I get hurt.
And first time with a girl, like, they just finally came to terms with liking women.
100%.
Ended a 9-year relationship. So you're trying to dip your toes in the water, and then you got so excited. It happened so quickly. You join this dating app. You find someone. You're like, wait, I'm into you. You're into me.
Yeah.
This is fun. And then it just got kind of, like, ripped away from you right away.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
Spooky
Dookie.
And this isn't time for you to like go back and be like, what's up with me? This isn't about you. This was about this other person. They're weird. They're lame. They're stupid.
This has nothing to do with you unless you wear socks.
Unless you're lame and weird and stupid, then that's a different story. But if you are a PP, I don't think you could be.
Could never be.
And rejection hurts, and people ghosting you is so annoying. If I'm like even chatting with support of some company and they stop responding, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm
rude.
so, what is wrong with me?
Say
Who am
goodbye.
I?
Tell me to have a nice day.
Tell me to have a nice day. So we get the rejection. We get you feeling sad and in your feels, but you shouldn't be unless you're the creep.
Yeah. Get up, dust yourself off, get back on those
Try
dating apps. Yeah, always get yourself up into your girl.
Okay, I just touched my ear and it's giving shingles feelings.
You're good. Yeah, this is so not you. And I also am glad that this happened. It's like, get it out of the way. Learn from this.
Yeah.
You're going to have better experiences. Like, now you're prepared. Now your expectations are lower.
Yeah.
People are just weird out there these days. And also, for the big age of 29, she's going to pull this shit is so
This person?
lame. Imagine the person is also a PP and they're hearing this and they're like, we're like, that fucking loser.
Dude, someone either DM'd us or emailed us or something and was like, I listened to every submission so like intently because I'm waiting for it to be someone I know. And then I can figure out how to help them.
That's
or
how I
I'm
feel
like,
when
that
we
is
listen to normal
so
gossip.
cute.
I'm like
I know.
waiting to know the person.
I know.
That is or I would be waiting to hear about me. I'd be like, who's gonna talk shit?
They're like, wait, were you on a dating app and you ghost someone recently? Did they catch you?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's me. Boo. I'm not 29.
That was cute. You sounded like Simba trying to roar.
I'm gonna beat the magic.
Try it.
Roar.
Ooh, I'm gonna get a good snuggle in after this.
All right, guys. Any of our PPs struggling with health anxiety, I hope this episode helped you. If you are feeling overwhelmed after listening to this, I really hope you took breaks and listened when you felt good. But I want to sit here and remind you, you are okay. You are healthy.
Probably. I'm just kidding.
You're a dick. You're a dick. I'm going to say that to you next time. I'm going to do that to you next time.
No, I'm just
You just did that to our little baby peepees out there?
No.
I'm going to sit there next time and go, baby,
joke.
you're healthy. Probably.
That's a funny joke for me and the HAPPs,
Not-
health anxiety PPs.
Not if the little haps are HAPP.
HAPs.
Yeah, haps. Not if, isn't that already taken?
Hoppa.
Hoppa. I was like, we can't steal a term that already exists. Not if they were spiraling. You might have just ruined their day.
No, that was so fucked up. I'm so sorry. You are probably definitely healthy.
On that note, we are going to go. I love you. You are healthy.
I love you more.
Probably. Good night.
Good
Sweet
night.
dreams.
Bye,
Now
guys.
that sounds creepy. Be like, good night.
Good night.
No,
No,
stop.
you're fine. You're literally fine.
You're fine.
No, you're so...
Look at me. You're fine.
Look at me.
We're going before we ruin
See
everyone's
Dr.
lives.
Peabody Zuckerberg, a hospital.